Chad, I got a question. So obviously there's been a lot of discussion in regards to certain things, primarily the trade window. There's been a lot of conversation in regards to this player going here, this player doing this thing, and being a public figure obviously has its frustrations, right? There's the complications that come with being a public figure, being scrutinized by the general public, and a lot of different things that come with that status. So I'm curious, chat, if you reflect on your own job right now, for those that chat that have jobs and are of age, how much are you willing to put up with based upon how much more you get paid? Like, say you are working in retail. How many Karens are you willing to put up with based upon your pay? Like, if your pay keeps getting higher, you're willing to put up with a little bit more probably, right? Because recently, if you guys didn't see, there was a post and people talking about the earnings of the last year, right? The earnings of the last year for RLCS players, and not many looked at teams because they usually equate to the same thing, but there's some trends that you can actually see about this that are actually pretty cool. And we're going to talk about that here. I wanted to take a look over at Liquipedia. We're going to jump over to that page. The reason why I ask is obviously there's been a lot of scrutiny and a lot of things going on, right? These players are also being paid pretty handsomely. Because keep in mind, this is just prize pools. This is just earnings from playing in tournaments, not salary, social media, content creation. It's just earnings from playing in events. That's how much money some of these players are making. And then they're also making their salary and stuff on top of it. Couple glaring things that immediately stick out to me. Number one, Ground Zero Gaming. We talk about their dominance and how successful they've been in comparison to BDS. Everybody talks about how BDS was like one of the craziest and most successful things ever, right? And Ground Zero is on par with their results. The difference, though, is the thing that I wish would happen. Please pay the OCE and Samscenes more money. We keep treating them like a minor region, and I get that. But if they keep being close to top 8, like, come on. They're getting like a third of the prize pool, half the prize pool that NA and EU are. Like, their regionals, I think, are what, 50K as compared? So NA regionals 100K, OCE is 30. It's 30%. It's 30%. Jesus. That's insane. So, like, you think about that in the total list, how much more Ground Zero would actually be? So 7 first place. So they're getting, instead, right? They're getting 30K. Winners take home 9 of that. While in North America, they're taking home the entire prize pool. Like, what? The first place winning. So each player in NA is getting 10 grand. And the players in OCE for winning are getting a third of that. Less than that, but still. Like, that's insane. That's insane. Now, if we want to talk about it realistically, chat, it's because of, I mean, that's just how economics work. Like, when you pull less viewers, when there's less people watching, when there's less people invested in your scene, you're gonna get paid less. Like, logistically, it doesn't make sense to pay them as much because they're not pulling in as much benefits, right? So that's just how it goes. But it is pretty crazy to see, like, you're talking, this should be, you know, 10K a person. This should be, you know, like, it's insane. That bumps up their numbers quite a bit. They're actually comparable to BDS. They'd actually be probably more than BDS if they were on par with the same thing, which is pretty nuts. I think some pretty cool things to look at as well. All of NRG at the top, which is obviously how this number comes to be. All of BDS at the top, which is how this number comes to be. Some of these numbers actually stand out to me in particular, like Guild being up here, right? Is because of the 2 events that they won last year at the very end in RLCSX. Because obviously this is all of 2021. This is not just this season so far. I'm curious for you guys, chat. Is there any that really stand out to you? Any ones that really, really surprise you based upon just numbers in general? Because to me, most of these seem pretty reasonable. Team Envy all of last year was a top 3 team almost the entire season. They never really went up or down. They were always right in the middle. Space Station kind of in that argument. G2 had some downfalls and some upswings. So that one going up is pretty crazy. V1 obviously being a little bit lower makes sense because of all the game 5, game 7s, but never the wins going the other side. Oxygen being that high when they did so poorly this season. Yeah, but last season they weren't too bad. I mean, last season they did okay. Where's True Neutral? Yeah, True Neutral being up that high is actually pretty incredible. You want to talk about how dominant they were in South America? I mean, 10 wins. It's more than anybody outside of OCE and Mina. Where's Fairy Peak? That's a good question because KDOP and Alpha are up top. Fairy Peak is not on the list for whatever reason. I don't know why. Fairy Peak should also be pretty high up there. Now that list goes low. Holy. Fairy Peak should be on there. I think that's just Liquipedia making a mistake. Fairy Peak's made some serious money this year. So this prize money must be for like RLCS only, I think. I think this is just RLCS. Yeah, I think this is RLCS events. This is not total, because I can tell you it's much more. Like if you pull up Garrett's earnings pages, all of this is significant.
It then took him 10 minutes to stumble upon the glorious mathematical operation known as division.
Oh, that might be it. That might be all this divided by 3. Okay, let's try that. Let's try that. Let's add all of these and then divide it by 3 and see what we get. So that's Garrett's individual earnings based upon placement. So hypothetically, we divide that by 3, 149. All right, sweet. It's accurate. Shout outs to Wikipedia. all that just to have them be right. This just goes back to my original point. Why are we letting humans automate seeding when we can just have programs do it for us where it's perfect, right? Case in point, this is automatically calculated, so nobody has to do it manually. They just say, hey, yeah, take these sheets, export it here. I like that. I like that. It's pretty crazy though. I still don't understand why Fairy Peak's not on the list. I agree with you on that one, Rolo. Where is Fairy Peak? You know, chat, let's do the math and figure out where Fairy Peak would actually end up. We have the technology, chat. 100K. So we'll just go 100K on the dot. So he'd probably be here. He'd be right above K-Dot. Number 7. Some of his wins are in ones tourneys. Yep. Yeah, I mean, you look at like Salt Mine Underground and stuff. Like, where is it? Here? For midi grants. You wouldn't divide that by 3. So there's certain ones. I just divide by 3 because it makes it easy. But a couple of these, like Battle of the Bulls and stuff, it would actually be, he'd be right below. Like Extra and Marked by 8 just have such a huge, clear difference. But yeah, Fairy Peak would be number 7. Yeah, doing 1v1 tournaments and stuff like that. I mean, it's a good chunk of change. Like 7, 8, 9 grand higher. Now, the crazy thing to reiterate, chat, is keep in mind, like, they're still getting paid a salary from the organizations. They're still earning money as well monthly through YouTube, etc. And like, let's take Squishy. Squishy's probably one of the biggest content creators. So he's averaging, in the last 30 days, 3 million views. Figure every million views is like 6 to 8 grand. So if we round up, he's making 18K a month from YouTube. Maybe more, maybe less, right? Let's say on average, Squishy is making a comfortable 12 grand a month. So, God, I keep typing notepad. Actually, we're going to pretend we need notepad. So, for example, if Squishy is getting paid YouTube, salary, and earnings, okay? We don't know specifics on these, but we do know his earnings. That's from like tournament results. Squishy is at 146,000. God, it's so much money. Salary, we can assume upwards. We'll do 10 just to be nice. It's probably more knowing Squishy because he's goated. And his YouTube, we'll say he's making 12 a year, so that's 144,000, or 12 a month, so that's 144,000. So hypothetically, Squishy in this last year made $410,000, like $500,000. Again, that could be off, but that's probably what he made. Like, that's not including Twitch or any other. So that's just like very basic, elementary. Like, we don't know what his salary is. We don't, like, it's $500,000. Sponsorship deals, yeah, whatever other stuff he's doing. What does that all lead to? A Corvette. His merch, everything that he's working on, yeah. Do orgs take from the prize pool? Some orgs do, some orgs don't. I would love to see and get a copy of a sample contract to go over with you guys someday on stream. I'll try to reach out to some org owners and see if they'd be okay with sending us like a sample contract, just so we can kind of dissect it and go over it and kind of educate people on it. But the biggest thing to know is, like, again, back to the original question we asked, chat. You're a public figure. You're under heavy scrutiny, a lot of pressure. It's a lot of stress, big mental toll, etc. What things are these players going underneath and being expected of on a regular basis? And for how long are you going to be able to keep that up? What kind of things are you going to be willing to go through so you can hopefully you are seeing players that are making this kind of money are reinvesting that and putting it somewhere so long term they can be successful. And if you do get into the content creation side and you are building up a platform, whether it be, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, and you're using those platforms to continue to grow your own brand, long-term success is something that you're going to be able to have. The best example we've seen of that is Rizzo. Look at what Rizzo has done now that he is no longer a pro. Because he has done such a good job of developing and building himself up, he now has a dedicated fan base, and no matter what he does. And because of that, he's going to be able to have long-term success, which is absolutely fantastic. I think the best example of growth, though, has to go to K-Dop. I mean, K-Dop is averaging like 7,000 viewers a stream. He has transcended and is now closer to the French community than he is Rocket League when it comes to like statistics of who watches his streams. K-Dop is no longer a Rocket League streamer. He is a French streamer, which is insane. French community go hard. So you see the amount of deals he's doing with Adidas and all that kind of stuff, or Adidas, depending on where you're from. K-Dop is obviously transcending that kind of stuff. So some pretty crazy stuff that you are seeing from the pros in the community. Because at the end of the day, chat, I am esports. And jokes aside, Rocket League is also an esport and doing just fine. It's doing okay. Still not the biggest, but it's doing all right. You know, things are climbing, and again, we're looking at some of the top tier, but the players that are putting in the work, both in content side, salary, you know, endorsements, everything else that they're putting together, there's money to be made. And that's the entertainment industry. The more we watch, the more we consume the product, the more these people are going to get paid. This is the way it goes. So with that said, chat, if you guys do enjoy these types of discussions, also for everybody on YouTube who has watched and made it this far, greatly appreciate it. If you guys have any additional questions or follow-up that you'd like to have, 2 ways you can do it. Let me know in the comments down below, or stop by the stream where we stream every day but Tuesday and Sunday. Come hang out with us. We'd love to have you as part of the stream, people in chat. As for everybody in chat, make sure you guys say goodbye to the YouTube frogs. Tell them to come join us. Also, make sure you tell them to hit thumbs up, subscribe, turn on notifications, and that we'll see them in the next video. Peace.